Welcome back to the Accessible Art History YouTube channel. Today is the first video of 2022. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone who watches this channel. 2021 had its ups and downs, but I could always find community here at Accessible Art History. Thank you for everything, and here's to a great new year. For this first video, I'm recapping some of the biggest art history news of 2021. I always think it's funny to use the term history news because it's kind of an oxymoron. But there are new developments and studies happening every day. These are only 12 stories that happened in 2021, and there were so many more that I can't cover. If you want to keep up with all of them, make sure you sign up for the Accessible Art History newsletter. It's free and provides you with a ton of great content once a month. You can find the link in the description box below. So, without further ado, let's dive into the video. In January 2021, archaeologists in Indonesia announced that they discovered the oldest depiction of an animal in world history. It's an image of an adorable, warty pig. Discovered at a site on the island of Sulawesi, the painting has been dated to 45,500 years ago. It was made with red ochre, a mineral pigment common at this point in history. Other images have been found in the caves around Sulawesi, suggesting a rich artistic tradition. According to the archaeological record, Homo sapiens arrived in Indonesia around 60 to 70,000 years ago, so it is likely that the ancestors of modern humans created these images. And note, the image on the screen is not the image of the pig found in the caves. I'm not able to utilize that photograph in the video, but I've linked it in the description box below. Edvard Munch's The Scream is one of the most famous paintings in history. Painted in 1893, it has captured the imagination and fear of viewers ever since. A man stands on a wooden walkway, his hands on his face and his mouth open wide. Although no noise comes out of the mouth, the viewer can only imagine the sound of terror. The swirling colors of the sky and water only add to the chaos. In February 2021, scientists discovered that the artist scrawled the phrase, "can only have been painted by a madman," on the canvas. It was written in pencil and confirmed through infrared images. Although art historians have long known about the inclusion, there has been some debate on whether or not it was done by an artist or by a fan. However, the photograph showed that the phrase matched known samples of Munch's writing. If you follow the link in the description box, you'll be able to see it for yourself. In March 2021, the archaeology world was rocked when it was announced that Israeli archaeologists discovered a new cache of Dead Sea Scrolls. It is the first discovery of its kind in 60 years, and it contained portions of the Book of 12 Minor Prophets, including the books of Zechariah and Nahum. In addition, there was a 6,000-year-old mummy and a 10,500-year-old pot. The scrolls were likely hidden during the 1st century Jewish revolt against Rome. Known as the Bar Kokhba revolt from 132 to 136 CE, the Jewish population suffered devastating losses and were barred from entering Jerusalem under the order of Emperor Hadrian. Fascinatingly, the scrolls contain slightly different wording than the other known copies of these books. This shows us that there were some differences between translations and communities at the time. The new scroll fragments are being studied and conserved by the Israeli Antiquities Authority. The majority of the first cache of scrolls from the famous 1947 discovery are housed at the Israel Museum. In April 2021, a Baroque painting showing Christ being crowned with thorns was banned from export by the Spanish government. It was expected to go up for auction as a work by the circle of artist José de Ribera for around €1,500. However, some art historians believe that it's actually a lost work by the Baroque master Caravaggio. The auction was stalled to allow for further study. The painting, which measures 111 centimeters by 86 centimeters, or 43 inches by 34 inches, certainly has some of the hallmarks of Caravaggio piece, including extreme use in light and dark, known as tenebrism. However, it is known that Ribera did study in Rome, and it's highly likely that he saw and studied works by Caravaggio while there. The piece is still under study and has yet to be confirmed as a true Caravaggio. If it is a work by this Baroque master, it could fetch an estimated $150 million at auction. And note, the painting on the screen is the confirmed Caravaggio of the same subject. Use the link in the description box to see the contested work. May 19, 2021 marked the 485th anniversary of Anne Boleyn's execution. She was the second wife of King Henry VIII and was sentenced to death for trumped-up charges of adultery and witchcraft. Excitingly, just in time for this anniversary, historian Kate McCaffrey discovered some hidden inscriptions in the doomed Queen's Book of Hours. It read, "Remember me when you do pray." This is quite heartbreaking to those of us who knew her fate. It is believed that Anne Boleyn handed this book to one of her ladies-in-waiting before she was beheaded. McCaffrey used ultraviolet light and photo editing software to help uncover the description. She also found evidence of names written in the book that matched up with families from around the area of Hever Castle, Boleyn's childhood home. This shows historians that it was a priceless artifact that local families passed down to help preserve the doomed queen images and stories. This Book of Hours is one of only 3 books known to bear Anne Boleyn's handwriting through inscriptions. There is a second book at Hever Castle, and then a third resides in the collection of the British Library. Images of the Book of Hours can be found using the link in the description box. In June 2021, Italian authorities announced that nearly 800 stolen archaeological objects were returned to their country from a Belgian collector. They were obtained illegally on the black market and were discovered initially by a lab that had been asked to test some samples. Some of these pieces date from as far back as the 6th century BCE. The pieces, worth an estimated 11 million euro, are from Apulia in Italy's southeastern tip. The lab was able to match elements taken for testing to known works held in local museum collections. After investigation, police discovered that the unnamed Belgian collector had a variety of items, including vases painted with red figures, amphorae, black glazed ceramics, and numerous terracotta figurines. This just goes to show how vast the black market really is. Vincent van Gogh is one of the most beloved artists in history. His colorful paintings, tragic history, and rich brushstrokes have continuously captured our imagination. Excitingly, a watercolor by him was recently discovered. Meadow in the background, the new church and St. Jacob's Church, July 1882, was bought by a Japanese collector in July 2021. This is thrilling because before this, the painting was only known from a single black and white photograph from an exhibition in 1903. It is now on display at the Saitama's Museum of Modern Art just outside of Tokyo. This piece is considered one of Van Gogh's finest watercolors. It shows an idyllic meadow scene with cows and verdant green grass. The work is certainly different from Starry Night, but also certainly as beautiful. Machu Picchu is one of the most incredible archaeological and architectural sites in the world. It has proven invaluable for learning about the Incan civilization. In August 2021, a team of researchers led by Richard Berger, a professor of anthropology at Yale, conducted radiocarbon dating tests at the site. They showed that the city was occupied several decades earlier than previously thought. The test showed that Machu Picchu was occupied from around 1420 to 1530 CE. This tells archaeologists that the reign of Emperor Pachacudi, the ruler who built the city, also started earlier than expected. It also helps to explain how the Incan Empire grew to be so powerful by the time the Spanish conquerors came to the continent. In July 2021, Hobby Lobby's founders were ordered to forfeit the Gilgamesh Dream tablet they had purchased in 2014. It had been purchased with the knowledge that it had been smuggled illegally out of Iraq. In September, the tablet was officially given back to Iraq in a ceremony held at the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian. Written in Kenya form, the Epic of Gilgamesh is one of the world's oldest works of literature. It dates from around 3,500 years ago and tells the story of the hero and possible king Gilgamesh. It's a great step towards the repatriation of stolen artifacts to their rightful homes. In a historic first, Cambridge University announced in October 2021 that it is returning a bronze sculpture to Nigeria. The piece is a depiction of a rooster and was taken in 1897 during the British expedition. Both the Nigerian Minister of Culture and the Oba of Benin, head of the culture that made the sculpture, praised this move and hope that other institutions follow in Cambridge's footsteps. The Benin bronze sculpture was given to Jesus College by a father of a student in 1905. British forces colonized the area of Nigeria and took thousands of sacred artistic treasures with them. Today, these objects are found in museums all over the world. This is another step in getting them back to Nigeria and to the people of Benin where they belong. Anne Boleyn made the news again in 2021. In November, an antiques dealer named Paul Fitzsimmons discovered that a gilded wood falcon that he bought at auction for £75 or $101 in 2019 was actually a statue of the Doom Queen symbol. It's now valued at around £200,000 or $269,900. This is an absolutely extraordinary find. After Anne Boleyn was executed, King Henry VIII worked to have every trace of her eliminated from history, and he was fairly successful, so finding anything relating to her from the Tudor period is thrilling. Fitzsimmons used a drawing of Anne's private quarters in Hampton Court Palace to match the piece to the time period. Restoration work also discovered that the carving was not only of high quality, but it was once covered in gold gilt. This adds to the evidence that it was made for Anne Boleyn while she was queen. Fitzsimmons is adamant that the falcon be returned to Hampton Court Palace for the public to enjoy. The Metropolitan Museum of Art announced in December 2021 that the Sackler family name will be removed from 7 galleries, including the wing that houses the Temple of Dendur. This was done to, quote, allow the Met to further its core mission, end quote. The family responded, saying, quote, our families have always strongly supported the Met, and we believe this is the best interest of the museum and the important mission that it serves, end quote. This announcement follows the 2019 move that the museum made to not accept any more donations from the Sackler family. In addition to the Met, the Sackler family has also gifted a wing at the Louvre, a courtyard at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, a center for feminist art at the Brooklyn Museum in New York, and an arts education center at the Guggenheim Museum of Art. They've also made numerous donations to museums including the National Gallery, the Tate, the Smithsonian, and the American Museum of Natural History. The Sackler family, although generous donors to the arts, gained their fortune from their company Purdue Pharma, the makers of OxyContin. Due to the opioid crisis, the Met and other institutions have taken steps to distance itself from the family and their ill-earned money. 2021 was certainly an interesting year for art news. Between new discoveries, repatriation, and even some politics, we were always kept on our toes. Here's to a happy new year and seeing what 2022 brings us.